let's do this time about music.
Okay.
Your last record was, let's say, an electronic record with a lot of synthesizers.
Yeah.
Now you went back to, let's say, acoustic music, a bit acoustic music. Worked with keyboards and saxophones and made a record. More or less, for me, it is more or less near to Grace and Danger. Would you say it's a step back, or is it something to commemorate? Commemorate, yeah, your 20th anniversary on stage, or is it a step into future, back into future?
It's back to the future for me. It's the step forward for me is not playing guitar. I don't play guitar on the record. I play guitar synthesizer. That's interesting. I still haven't found a guitar synthesizer that's good enough to work with live. There isn't one. There's one called the Synclavier, but it costs $250,000, and I don't have $250,000. Until they give me one, and I suppose I'll have one. Yeah, it's a step forward in that respect, in that I don't play guitar on it, and I find that interesting. I like that. It means that I can leave the guitar playing and the personal expression side to live work, which is what I've always intended, and it works out very well. I rather like it the way it is just now.
You plan to have a big concert in London with a lot of musicians on stage, and something went wrong with that, I heard. Do you still plan to do another concert with a lot of musicians?
No, not really. Oh yes, it depends really, man. I don't really have any firm plans. The first thing I'm doing is a Greenpeace thing on Thursday with Echo and the Bunnymen and China Crisis. I like China Crisis. Echo and the Bunnymen, oh God. So I'm going to put my best pout on and rip my shirt. That's the first thing I have to do. Then I'm going to go home and rest. I've been out for 3 months now and I'm tired. I'm going to go home and fish for a week. And then I go to Spain to do 3 days TV. Then I go into the studio and do some soundtracks.
Could you say that it's now a time, after being more or less a secret musician's tip, that you're becoming more known beside of the, let's say, folk world or acoustic world?
Well, I seem to be getting more publicity in general. Yeah, we get some very good press. We've got some very good press in Munich, for this country, you know. And in Britain, it was very successful. America, the album seems to be getting very good reviews. I'm doing all kinds of TV interviews. Yeah, I suppose I'm getting a little more famous.
Well, you said last year you like touring, but you don't like traveling.
That's true.
Still the thing?
Absolutely true. I mean, if I could be beamed from one stage to the other, that would be the ideal thing for me.
Then it shouldn't be that good for you that you become that famous now.
No, because the difference is that instead of traveling in the van, I'll be able to fly everywhere. I'll go by Rolls Royce.
Okay, from your first records on, you were put into the corner of folky singer-songwriter, and you did some electric guitar records, like what I like best most of, Johnny Too Bad, things like that. You did working with electronic, with synthesizers, but you said your first love was the acoustic guitar. Is it still the acoustic guitar?
It's first love, and so you never forget it. I'm going to do an acoustic tour. I'm going to do it, well, not an acoustic tour, but I'm going to do 5 or 6 gigs with Danny Thompson, just to celebrate. That is a celebration. That's a reunion. That's a 20-year celebration. That one. That's going to be interesting. That's going to be fun. I'm going to take a little drummer out as well. The guy who plays at the moment in the band, Aaron, he's very good, and he likes to play with brushes. So I'm going to bring him out on the road and get some percussion going too. That's going to be fun. Ask me in a month's time, and I'll be able to tell you what I think of acoustic music. You know what I mean? Right now, it seems like a good idea, but I have to put it into practice. In theory, it sounds great. In practice,
What are your feelings after 20 years on stage and tour?
I don't know. It just feels much the same as it ever did. It feels much the same as it ever did. It's a little more exciting. I like playing with the band. It's very exciting, physically exciting, and mentally quite stimulating. Yeah, I enjoy it even more than I did before, I think. It's less fraught with danger. I'm less nervous about it. I feel more confident. I know that when I go on, I there's a certain thing in mind, and I strive towards that. Whereas I think when one is younger, one thinks, oh, oh, the gig got to be good, got to be good, got to be. And you can tend to get yourself very, well, I personally, being a hyper person, tend to get myself overwrought and a little bit wound up. And my attitude towards playing is relaxed, so that's good.
So if you had a chance going back to the start, to do again, fell in love with the acoustic guitar, do your first gigs in clubs, small clubs, would you do it?
I would certainly do it again. Yeah, it was joyful. But I would hate to be starting now. It'd be awful, really, because I mean the whole machinery has changed. In those days, you could go out with an acoustic guitar and build yourself a following and build yourself a stagecraft. Now it's you get a band together, you buy your synthesizers, and you send your demos out, and the hopes that one of them's going to come back with a check tied to it. I'm not talking about Czechoslovakia. It's I just wouldn't like to be starting now. I really wouldn't. Not in this climate. I was very lucky. I started at a very fortunate time.
In your records, the songs are very different. Each one differs from the other one, like, well, not a world, but like countries. Is that a picture of yourself? Do you differ that much inside yourself?
Yes, I do. I'm a very disparate person. Disparate, not desperate, but disparate. I've got, there's a lot going on in there, and it's never quite reconciled. I mean, I'm not a unified, but I mean, of course I am a unified personality, but it's not. If you examine it, it's quite a bitty thing that's under here. There's lots of little angles and different things. Like I like mathematics, I like romantic poetry, I like classical music, I like jazz, I like fishing. I don't like shooting. I like beef and I don't like pork. You know what I mean?
And you like haggis.
That's right. It's all a bit. Yeah, I'm not really a settled person. I don't have a one-track mind. It's very tangential. It's liable to fly off in any direction, which is quite good. I mean, I'm perfectly comfortable with it. I think it makes life uncomfortable for some people around me sometimes. They're never quite sure of where I'm coming from, and I feel sorry about that. That's the only thing that would ever cause me to change is the fact that it would cause other people discomfort. But basically, I'm quite happy. But as you say, there's a lot of different moods going on in there. I think it's the same for everybody in some ways. The reason I think people tend to make unified albums simply because they can't think of anything else to do. I'm not being funny. I'm deadly serious. I think people a lot of what passes for style is in fact a lack of imagination. You know what I mean? I really do feel that. I mean, groups like Queen just sound like Queen all the time, and you can say they've got a style, but I don't think it is. I think it's just a lack of imagination. They just sound exactly the same to me as they did 10 years ago.
So I had a discussion with a friend, and he said, well, this album doesn't sound like John Martyn. And I said it's a typical John Martyn album.
Think it is too. Yeah, I think it's very John Martyn. I think it's more honest than anything I did with Warner Brothers. And I find it, personally speaking...
Grenzen, Danger?
Grenzen, Danger wasn't Warner Brothers, that was Island. Yeah. It's more honest than either of the Warner Brothers albums, and it's more. I hate to use the word. It's more unified in conception than Sapphire was. Sapphire was bitty, for me. It wasn't. It wasn't dreadful, but it was bitty. This one is. I like it. I really do like it. I'm proud of it.
Was it your choice to do Lonely Love as a single?
No, I don't have anything to do with that. I'm going to write some singles this year. That's the thing. That's my next project. Well, it's not quite my next one. I have a couple of projects beforehand, but I'm going to write a couple of singles this year.
But are you satisfied with Lonely Love as a single? That they put it out off the record, off the LP?
I would have made a bigger deal of it, I think. I think I'd have put some backing girl vocals on it. And I think, frankly, the song should be sung by Aretha Franklin or somebody, you know. She had to change the word to Lonely Loving Girl or something, but...
So what is your best love song on that LP? Which one is your favourite?
Angeline.
Angeline. Is your wife called Angeline?
No, she's called Anne, but it is for my wife, yeah. Yeah.
Why did you write a song like John Wayne?
Well, I was thinking very, what's the word, vengeful thoughts about an ex-manager of mine that I really wanted to sort out. And all the verses are about this ex-manager of mine. I'm going to get you, I'm going to get you, don't look behind you, I'm going to get you. And as I was composing the song, I thought, this sounds really stupid, Johnny. Who the fuck do you think you are, a vigilante? And that just kind of led me through. I was looking for a way of putting my tongue in my cheek and diffusing the song. And the funniest guy I could think of was John Wayne. I think he's hilarious. Very funny. The hero's hero. Never been wrong. Him and the Pope. Never been wrong. So I enjoy it. I just find it funny. It's a very funny song.
I was just wondering why there's a song like John Wayne.
Yeah, I know, it's ridiculous, isn't it? And it comes from nowhere.
Yeah. It sticks out somewhere.
Yeah, yeah, it is
Doesn't
weird.
fit into the other
No, it doesn't. No, it's the most peculiar thing. I agree.
Were you very desperate when you wrote One Step Too Far?
No, it was
Sounds
just
very
yeah,
lonely,
it is. Yeah, it is a funny little. I mean, it's funny. I think I've been at my most desperate. I don't feel very desperate anymore. But I think, conversely, I think a good mood for me is probably a desperate mood for somebody else. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like everything works on degrees and scales, and I think when I get down, it's like. I mean, if I feel mildly depressed, somebody else would be slashing their wrist in the same. Do you know what I mean? Because I live on a very. I don't mean to sound arrogant or strange. I put myself above, but I live on a very high emotional level. I live by emotions rather than anything else. It's not always a good thing, I might tell you. As I say, it makes life difficult for those around you. Some people find me unbearable. I'm a very difficult character to manage and to work with. I find it all right on a pure day-to-day working basis. It's okay, but when I have to come up against greedheads like managers and producers and that kind of people, I find it very difficult to work with them because unless they believe in me 100%, I can't believe in them. They have to believe in me. That's number one. They have to. That's why I'm so successful on the road. That's why I enjoy my life on the road, because everyone in the team believes in John Martyn, and I believe in each of them. We're like brothers, and that's very good. We go forward like that. But I find that when I come across people in the industry, then it's very difficult for me to function even. I don't like it. But no, I wasn't depressed really. Just slight, a passing phase. I mean, it's like you wake up one morning and sometimes you don't feel too good. You look up and the sun doesn't look quite so bright as it does to other people or something. Or maybe it wasn't as bright as it was yesterday. You don't feel so good. Maybe your body, maybe you drank too much. Maybe you strained your neck, slept in a bad position. That's all. One step too far. It's no more important to me than that. It's not a cry from the heart, really. I mean, it's there, and it's a genuine sentiment, but it's not like a wrist slasher or anything.
So you're not writing anymore to drive the blues away?
Yes, I am. Oh yeah. But you never stop doing that. You never ever stop. That's the only reason you do it. It's just to put it into words and defuse it and get rid of it, clean it out. It's like I'm not being a Roman Catholic, I wouldn't know, but it's a bit like confession. I imagine confession must be like that to a Roman Catholic. Get it off your chest. Get rid of it. Absolve yourself. Or be absolved.
So a musician like you has heights and depths through 20 years. You've been down, nobody wanted your records or your music, and you were high up in the sky. Everybody was chasing the records. How can you cope with that?
You have to come to the conclusion that nothing is static. Everything's always in a state of change, in a state of flux. And I think it's interesting. And it doesn't. I'm still here. I'm quite fat. I haven't starved to death. I don't feel the cold much. And I'm not dreadfully unhappy. In fact, I'm very happy with my new wife.
Have you never wished to be like the Stones or like the Beatles on a certain level of popularity? So
no, the popularity doesn't really mean that much to me. I'm not really. I get more than enough to tickle my ego. The only thing I could do with is a little more money. Not a lot more. I mean, I need about maybe 25% more money than I've got. If I have that, then everything would be just extraordinarily comfortable. At the moment, it's still a bit of a hassle. But no, I'm not really into the fame. I like respect. Respect is a good thing. If you can get respect, that's a gas. And I have a lot of that. A lot of musicians and stuff. I get respect from the people that I like to be respected by. I mean, to be honest, I don't really want to. I don't want to become Coronation Street or something like that.
Have you an imagine of playing with special musicians you've never done before?
I'd like to sing with Weather Report. Yeah.
With Weather Report?
Yeah.
With the old one?
Oh, anyone at all. Anything that Joe Zawinul has to do with, I'd like to sing. I'd like to sing for Joe Zawinul.
I see.
And I wouldn't mind playing a little guitar.
Why that?
Well, I don't know if you are you coming to the gig tonight?
Yeah, of course.
Well, you'll find that a lot of the gigs sounds like Weather Report with vocals. You know, that's the way it's sort of moving into that strange, slightly twisted area. I like it. I mean, some of it's very straight and very funky, but
That surprised me now, really. I got this.
Oh, yeah.
It's easy. Quite by surprise.
Really?
Yeah.
I'm doing an album with Charlie Hayden this year as well. It's going to be an interesting thing. That's if that makes any sense to you. Do you know what I mean? That might make the Weather Report thing fall into a better category, a more easily understandable category.
So you seem to be very busy this year.
Yes. It's good.
So after a long holiday, could you say it that way? Not a holiday.
No, I've been surprisingly busy. I mean, I had 3 months off last year, but that was because I wanted them and needed them. No, I've been surprisingly busy. To be honest, I've never really been laid out. You know, I mean, I've always been fairly busy. This has been a surprisingly. The last 5 months has been extraordinarily busy, and I hope. Well, I don't hope. I know that the next 7 or 8 months are very busy too, which is great. I mean, it's beautiful. I like that. It's good to work hard. You get bored if you don't.
Isn't a trout season?
It is, yeah. Yeah, it started on March the 12th, man.
Ah, that's why.
I've got to go. It's time I left. Hello, I must be going.
Would you still say that you got your Scottish heart, your Scottish feelings?
Very much. The problem is, personal problem, purely personal. I may have to leave Britain because I don't agree with the politics. I just don't like it there anymore. It's an unpleasant place to be. The country has been degraded. It's like it's on the decline, you know. It's going downhill rapidly. It's very bad. I blame it on the government.
But as far as I know, Scotland doesn't belong to Britain.
I wish that was true. In our hearts, it's true, but unfortunately, it's not true in practice. Excuse me, I've just seen somebody I need to see.
Okay, well, what do you? Yeah. Where did we start? Anyway, we start somewhere. Yeah, okay, we do something different from music again. Last year you said you still like haggis, but is haggis best? Is that the food you really love, or which food do you really love?
Ooh.
Which meal?
I'm trying to think. I like couscous.
Your best loved meal?
Yeah, couscous, I think.
Do you have a recipe for that?
Oh yeah. I mean, that's what I do. I have 2 hobbies. I fish and I cook.
Could you give me the recipe?
Sure. You take. Do you have a couscousière? You have to have a couscousière. Or if you haven't got that, you can make do with a sieve and a lid over it. Right. First of all, you take some ordinary vegetables like an onion, like a couple of carrots, maybe an aubergine if you're feeling crazy, and a red pepper or a green pepper, any kind of a capsicum, right? Saute those. What else do you do? Hold on, I've got to get this right. Now I would see some people would differ to me. you put your chili and your harissa, which is a mixture of spices and herbs. It looks like tomato puree, but it's not. It's got cumin and coriander and other spices in it. You mix that with after you've sauteed the vegetables and sweated them down and reduced them a little bit. You put that in, your harissa, and maybe a couple of extra chilies if you like it very hot. And maybe an old piece of chicken, or a piece of old chicken, not an old piece of chicken, a piece of old chicken, or like not too good a piece of meat, like just as long as it's not too good, like something with a bone in it, like like an old piece of mutton, not lamb, nothing too expensive. Has to be quite cheap meat. Put it in there, and you just cover it up and let it go for maybe 2 hours, and then for the last hour you put your couscous on top, and all the herbs and spices go through the couscous, and it's one of these very simple. That's it. It takes about 3 hours.
What do you drink with it?
Oh, you could drink anything. I like cold beer with it. Arak is very good to start with. Arak is very good, but that's just ouzo or any of those anise-based stuffs. Yeah, I like cold beer or Moroccan wine. Obviously, a strong red wine is very good. Moroccan wine or Israeli wine, any Mid-Eastern. Or a good claret, but it's too expensive. You have to. It's one of those things. If you make it too expensive and too clever, it's bullshit. It has to be It's like haggis. It has to be funky.
Okay. So that's...
Okay. That was a long one, wasn't it?
No, it wasn't very long. No, it's just because I'm planning to do a book on recipes of musicians.
Oh, good. Well, I can send you. I'm
asking everybody which meat he prefers.
Yeah. Yeah, couscous is really nice. Really nice. I like it.
Good, very good. Now back to the music.
Okay.
Yeah, I already said that to me all the songs on your record differ, but they still belong together. If you could compare this record to the ones you did throughout the 20 years now, would you say you already had a phase, a time where you've been in the same mood?
Not really, no. No. No, I haven't felt like this before. No.
You said early on that you're doing some soundtracks this year as well. So what about?
Well, I've already done one for the new David Bellamy. David Bellamy is a sort of ecologist, botanist, biologist from England who does nature programs, mostly on an ecological theme. He has a 7-part series called Turning the Tide, which I've done the music and written a song for. That comes out September this year.
Movie now, or
no, that's a TV series, and there'll be a record come out at the same time. And I'm also doing right now. I'm doing a thing for a play, which is going to be made into a movie by Mel Brooks. Mel Brooks is stars Anthony Hopkins and Anne Bancroft, who's Mel Brooks' wife, I believe. Called 84 Charing Cross Road. Very literary. It's sort of like On Golden Pond. It's a little like that, but it's very literary. It's about people who fall in love through their mutual love of books and keep up correspondence over many years.
Doing soundtracks is quite different from the music.
Absolutely, it's a good thing for me because I can use other people's inspiration to inspire me. I quite like that. When someone, do you know what I mean? It's like you catch the idea just a little further down the line. You're not asked to form the idea from the start. The nucleus is not yours. The nucleus is somebody else's. So what you're doing is you're holding a mirror up and showing what you think. It's like your personal reflection of what you understand from the script. So it's an interesting project. I enjoy that kind of work. It's good.
Don't you feel a bit cut away from your own experience, from your own inspiration there?
No, I don't. No, as I say, it comes as a welcome change. It's a different way to spend your energy. It comes as a welcome change. I quite enjoy it.
But you're not planning to become a soundtrack writer then?
I am, yeah.
But not for the rest of your life?
I don't know. Maybe it would be a good thing. I don't think I'd ever stop making my own albums. But it's one of those areas that I'll certainly involve myself in because it's nice. It's what's the word? It's rewarding work. It's I'd rather write soundtrack. Put it this way: I'd rather write soundtrack for a good film than make a good video of a track. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
I don't really like videos much. I'm yet to be convinced that they're a fantastic idea. I don't think they're a fantastic idea. I think all too often they're a cheap way of making bad music acceptable.
So what is your meaning about the music scene today in all?
I don't like it, but then again, I never have liked it. You know what I mean? It's exactly the same now as it was when I started. I didn't like it then, and I don't like it now. I think to genuinely enjoy it, you have to be a fool or a manager or to be directly employed by the music industry in a very industrial sense, not to be an artist. I think any true artist who honestly says that he likes the music industry is a fool. I like the music art. I love musicians. I love playing. But the music industry sucks. It's just like the film industry and the fashion industry. I don't like it.
So which groups would you prefer nowadays?
I like China Crisis. I like Double. Who else do I like? I like Bobby McFerrin, you see, but he's not popular really. I like Double, I like China Crisis. I kind of like Simple Minds, although I'm going off them a little, that they seem to be running out of ideas. It's a hard thing to say, but it's true. Good players too.
Yesterday I read an article about that super hype of Great Britain, Sich, schon, lange, and they wrote in that article, everybody seems to speak about Sicher, Sputnik. Even in interviews, people are asked what they think about Sicher. I won't ask you that now.
They suck.
I won't ask you that now because it came just into mind because everybody seems to speak about them.
Well, that's because there's nothing else happening. I can't take them seriously at all. Just another piece of bullshit.
Would you dream to do now you're writing soundtracks, would you dream to do a film on your own, doing the book and the music? Both?
I'd love to do that. That would be, of course, but I mean, you see, it costs so much money to do that sort of thing. First of all, write the book, really. First of all, write the book. And I'm interested in writing it, but it's such a long project, and one has to I'm not in the position really that I can retire, for long enough to do that. And I don't think I'm old enough either. I honestly don't think I have enough experience to write a book. I know eventually I will. There's no question of that in my mind. I've wanted to write ever since I was very young, ever since I was 11 years old. It's one of my talents. It's one of the things I know I can do. But I don't have enough ammunition yet. I need a bit more experience, believe it or not. I think maybe in 3 or 4 years' time, and maybe slightly before then. I don't know. But it's one of the things I certainly will do. And if the book is good enough, then maybe the film. It's strange. I'm trying to avoid the temptation to make the book like the records, because the records are very autobiographical, and I don't want the book to be like that. I want the book to be fiction, but I mean really, just fiction. Maybe there are 2 books. Maybe one of them is about me, and maybe there's one purely fiction. But I think the first one should be fiction. I'm interested in that. I'd also like to develop a good style, a good writing style. I like writing. I like literature. I read a great deal, and I wouldn't like to write a book that was easily dismissed or cheap in any way. I'd like it to be very, very good. Which is yet another difficulty.
Doesn't take a lot of courage to go on stage and sing your songs because they're so autobiographic.
No. I think they're easier in some respects because if you once direct your feet on the path of being an honest artist or being an honest musician, let's say. I'm not an artist yet, although I'm trying to be one. Once you've made the decision that you're going to be honest, then you really have to carry it through. You just have to carry it through. So, and it doesn't, strangely enough, it doesn't cost me a great. I find it easier to sing from the heart than to sing from the head. I can't, unless I have a genuine understanding of the music, a really, an inside understanding, especially of the lyric and the content and the emotional direction, the emotional purpose of that song. I find it very difficult. I find it very difficult to interpret other people's, music. So, in fact, it's easier for me. I couldn't, if I was to write differently or to sing other people's songs, I don't think I'd be as good. Although I'm developing a strange and peculiar talent for singing jazz songs, for like 50s and 60s standards. That's another thing that I might like to do, is make an album of nothing but covers. Yeah, I quite fancy the idea. It's one of those. It's a matter of getting the record company to agree to it,
Maybe if this record is quite successful.
Yeah.
Like come to it.
Yeah, they might. It would be good if it'd be great if they did, because it's one of those projects I'd really like to do. Robert Palmer tried to do it, and discovered that there was no money in it, so he didn't do it.
Well, Riptide was a minor hit.
I thought Riptide's very good.
Yeah.
You mean the record?
Yeah.
The Addicted to Love is number 2 in the American charts this week.
So.
But I mean, that's nothing to do with. I mean, Riptide is almost sort of 50s-ish, but the rest of it is completely different. The rest of it, I call it cocaine disco.
Cocaine disco.
Cocaine disco. Man. It's definitely cocaine disco. I don't care what anybody says. A thinking man's cocaine disco. I like it, but I wouldn't do it. You know what I mean?
You said you're going to move from England to leave England because of the government.
It's true. Excuse me.
But what country would you live in then?
Italy or France, I think. I like Italy.
Do you think France is better than England? Better off?
No, you see, I'm being totally selfish about it. I'd like to. I speak French, and I'd like to improve my French. I love cooking. France.
The south.
Or Italy, yeah. Well, the Midi. I like the Midi.
Good.
Oh, the French-Spanish border is very nice and very cheap, and nobody lives there.
It's like Scotland.
Yes, it is very like Scotland, but they don't speak Scottish.
After you lived there.
That's right. Maybe Italy. I quite fancy Italy as well. I like Italy. It's so anarchic. It's crazy, you know. It's really crazy. It's the only place I've ever bought something on the black market and found it to be more expensive than you can buy in the shops, and nobody complains. It's hilarious. You know what I mean? There's people come up to you and offer you things like just even something as simple as a packet of Marlboro, and it'll cost you I don't know, like 2,000 lira, and you can walk into a shop and buy them for 1,800. But people buy the black market just because it's the black market. It's very funny. I like that kind of attitude. It's really stupid. Lawless. No, of course not. I don't have any money, so it's not going to last anyway, man. Relax your mind. I never worry about money because I don't have any. That's the truth. And I like it that way, sort of, you know what I mean?
Will there be another record like Live in Leeds?
I hope so.
I mean, strictly for lovers?
I hope so. I really hope so. It may already exist. We taped the London show, which was like a 2-hour show with a big band. Well, not a big band, but like a 6-piece band. And it's on 24 track. So it may already be there.
Good.
It may already be there.
I wish I could hear it already.
Yeah, so do I. I'm interested in hearing it. I'm hoping to get the tapes again when I go home.
Good. I ran out of questions.
Okay.
So all I can do is thank you for the interview.
Thank you.
And ask you for a favor. Could you do
What's
us
that?
an
An ident.
station ID?
Yeah.
Yeah?
What is it?
RIAS 2. Good, eh? Wait, I stopped a bit. Stop that first. Where? Ah, there.
And your name?
Uwe Gold.
Uwe, yeah. Hi there, cats and kitties. This is John Martyn. I'm speaking to Uwe on... I've forgotten it. Hello, this is John Martyn. I'm speaking to Uwe on RIAS 2. That's radio in the American sector, 2.